Saturday, it's 2 p.m. It's me, Geordie Pete Redding. It's TFA Soccer Saturday on Hollywood Balls, the show where even Ronaldo isn't guaranteed a start, and we've had more guests than Watford have had managers. Hollywood Balls is brought to you today by Manscaped, who are the men's grooming champions of the world. They offer precision-engineered tools for your grooming needs. Yes, you heard that right. Just launched in the UAE, by the way, with their 4th generation trimmer, the lawnmower. It is called the lawnmower. Over 2 million men worldwide trust Manscaped. So we've got an exclusive 20% offer for you with Hollywood Balls today at manscaped.com. Before we meet today's special guest, here's a look at what's going to be coming up. Okay, coming up today, we preview the weekend's big fixture. It's in James's Park, NUFC against Spurs. We're looking at Ranieri against Klopp. Patrick Vieira heads back to Arsenal. We catch up with the latest goings-ons at Forest Green. Geordie Stato Dave Huggan joins us live from Australia. And of course, this week we've got the DK Hot Sauce Predictions Challenge and our Manscaped exclusive discount. Now, speaking of predictions, I've got to start with a message. Kev, this one is for you.
Hey, big up, Geordie Pete. How are you, son? Haven't come here to gloat. Well, actually, I have, haven't I? I've come here to gloat. That's what I have. Super Kev, what's the score? Super Kev, what's the score? 2-0 win it, son. Don't give up your day job. Have a great show, guys. Loads of love. Bye.
They're the one and only Barry Ashworth.
Pete, I ain't happy about that. You know that. I'm not happy. He done me by a point, I think.
Even I got 5 points last week, which is saying something. Listen, guys, welcome to the show. Welcome to our TFA crowd. Welcome to Facebook and to Twitter. Firstly, my guest this week made well over 300 top-level appearances wearing the colours of Liverpool, Leeds, Blackburn and Scotland, making his Hollywood Balls debut. Give it up for Don Matteo. How are you, mate?
Very well. Yourself, guys? Good to speak to you.
Yeah, we're good. We're all very good. Listen, you were spotted back in the day by Kenny Dalglish, no less, playing for the one and only Birkdale United. As a 16-year-old, you were definitely living the dream, signing for Liverpool at that young, right?
Yeah, well, actually, if I go back a little bit earlier, I actually signed when I was probably 10. Robbie Fowler was probably 9 at that point. So that's how far I went back, that relationship with Kenny. And I think when you're living in Liverpool and you're a Liverpool fan, there's no one bigger than Kenny. And when he comes knocking on your door saying, do you want to come and have a trial for your kind of boyhood club, the answer is always yes, especially with Kenny. If anyone knows Kenny, he's very hard to say no to. He's a very special man. He is, and he's a great man. And he tells you how it is. He really does. And I admire him so much for what he's done throughout his career and his life and what he's been doing with a lot of stuff around the world. He's an amazing man.
Yeah. It's great to have you. Listen, when we announced it this week, Dom, that you were coming on the show, we had hundreds of messages going, ask him this, ask him that, ask him this. But I've picked one, and it's not from Liverpool and it's not from Leeds. And I know we've chatted about this, but as a Sunderland fan, you made one appearance for Sunderland, and Paul's telling me that he said you were about to take a throw in at Barnsley. It was on a Tuesday night. It was lashing down with rain, obviously. You took this throw in and it went straight in, and Brett Angel claimed the goal, but the goal didn't stand, and nor did your move because you hadn't been signed properly. Is that true?
Probably, yeah. It wasn't very well organised, and I'll be honest with you, it was a really hard game. That Barnsley were at it as well. And I think with Danny Wilson at that point, they were a good side.
Yeah,
Danny Wilson might have been playing actually, and it was a tough game. It was the weather was ridiculous. It was the ball when you kick the ball forward and it'd come back and go over your own net. It was that windy at that point. It was a horrible game, and then Peter Reid obviously took over. We were new, but I couldn't play. So Reid kind of said to me, "Listen, just have 4 weeks and just get to know the boys, see what it's like at a different club." So I did. So basically, I was just on the beer for probably 4 weeks with Reedy, and then that was happy days for me. I went back to Liverpool, and that's where I kind of got going again.
Oh, amazing. Kev, George, I'm going to come to you guys soon. I want to say a quick hi to Davey Gallagher. He's taking Oliver to his first game tomorrow. All the best. It's going to be double lively. We were just talking about that. Oliver, enjoy it, because you can tell your father, you can thank him later in life when the Toon are actually winning things. Oliver, if you remember, George was the young man that made his boxing debut a couple of weeks ago, and we gave a shout out to. So George won't be wishing you all the best, Oliver, because he's a Spurs fan, but we do. Great stuff, and hope you enjoy the game. It's going to be, we'll get on to that. Okay, Kev, George, good morning. Kev, I'm going to start with you. Interestingly enough, there's all the talk, of course, has been about the takeover Newcastle. It's the Super Sunday game. But slipping in under the radar today, Ranieri is back in town, and he's up against Jurgen Klopp. The Hornets will be hoping for that new manager bounce. Is there a possibility there, do you think, today?
Well, listen, that's what they're hoping. But the way Liverpool are going, it's going to be a very difficult game for Watford. The fact of the matter is, Watford are at home and they have to attack them, and that plays into Liverpool's hands, because Liverpool are so good on the counter-attack. With them front boys, they're so dangerous. And Mo Salah, let's be honest, he is playing outstanding right now. So I can only see that going one way, Pete. And Tinkerman will try, obviously, and try and keep it tight. But I only see Liverpool winning that one.
Me too. Before we come to you, George, this is going to happen today. We're going to have to go off script because Dom's getting so many messages. Please read this out to Dom. This is from Ryan. When he played for Blackburn, we had a right good night on the Jack Daniels, one of the Christmas parties. Was in my day when I worked on maintenance for the club. Such a small world. Ryan, good to see you. I'm sure that Dom will remember the Jack Daniels night. He's a great lad. Evertonian.
Yes, yeah.
George, welcome. Big weekend. We'll get on to our game a bit later, but again, it's a pivotal game for Watford today, and for the owners, isn't it? Because it's their decision to sack yet another manager.
Yeah, listen, it's big game. I think if Watford have any hopes, I think they are misplaced today. You do wonder about the long-term policy of changing managers every 9 months on average, I think it is now, or every 11 months. You need some level of stability. It'll be an interesting game. There's some Watford players that we all like very much, but like Super Kev says, Mo Salah's on fire. A very good Liverpool friend of mine said to me, there isn't a better player in the world right now than Mo Salah, and I think that's fair. I don't think Watford should place too much emphasis on today's game because they're going to get trounced, I think.
Got to give a big shout out to Steve Coleman, the guy that first put me on air. It's all his fault. Steve, how are you doing? Great. He's still going strong on Magic, former Metro Radio, and of course Global. Great guy. Massive Chelsea fan as well. But never mind. We'll move on swiftly from there. Back up to
you said he was a great guy. How can he? He's a Chelsea fan.
Coming back up to you, Dom. Now, 8 years. It's a hell of a stint at Liverpool. Never mind any club, but Liverpool. It's mentioned that you played your best football for them around 99-2000, but you were sold to Leeds. Do you have happy memories of that period? Because it's a great innings at such a top club.
Yeah, I'd love to have played more. I think I was on the bench for probably about 500 games as well, which was always tough for it's true. I was always on the bench. It's one of those. And then the thing is, when a club like Liverpool, Kev will tell you, when you're at a big club, They just keep buying players, and then you're further down the pecking order. And it was more difficult, I think, to get into the team for me. Once I kind of cemented myself in, you know, it was kind of everything was going smoother. It was much easier. But for the first few years as a young player, and maybe it might be the same for Kev when he went to Arsenal, it's difficult to adapt, and you have to adapt so quick. And all these top players around you, they're more or less telling you off constantly. And all the managers, everyone's. It's kind of like it's quite a tough school to learn from, but it's actually really good for you as well because they're just giving you good, solid advice. And I loved all my time at Liverpool. There's no two ways about it. It's a fantastic football club, and like you say, for me, it was the grounding I probably needed to then make the move to Leeds. You know, having that experience of being honest, I wanted to play more games. I had 5 years left on my contract with Liverpool. And I just thought I need to start playing more regular games. That's why I transitioned to go to Leeds, because I wasn't getting the opportunities that maybe I wanted as a player. And you've got to have that kind of something about you to go, you know what, I'm good enough to go and make that move. And I don't regret it. And that's the God's honest truth.
Brilliant stuff. Listen, we always have this thing where guests come on the show, George, and they happen because in their careers, their distinguished careers, they've come up against each other. Now, I've got a little stat for you. It's Kev's second surprise of the day. Kev and Dom have locked horns before, and a certain Mr. Matteo reckons that Kev got him a red card. Kev, would you care to comment?
I don't know what you're talking about, Pete. I have no idea what you're talking about, Pete.
Well, the spotlight. The spotlight. Dom, the floor is yours.
It was obviously right. So obviously, you're Everton at home. I'm at Leeds, so we're away at Goodison. Basically, you took so many dives in that game for a big centre forward. I was like, hold on a minute here. He's having me over. And before you know it, I was off after 25 minutes. So imagine what that was like. I was getting absolute
Dom, after you got sent off, what, did I dive again?
You probably did, Kev, to be honest, yeah.
And what was the score in the end?
0-0.
Oh, jeez.
Brilliant stuff.
Hey, Dom, you were dirty, though. Come on, you were fouling me constantly, mate.
But Dom, this was after 25 minutes.
25.
Yeah.
He's not very...
Kev, let me just read something back to you.
Go on.
Don was sent off after 25 minutes.
After 25 minutes, right? Yeah.
You're a top striker. And the game ended 0-0.
Yeah. The game. It killed the game, him going off.
Yeah, it spoiled it. Yeah. I think we have to move on. Listen, we're going to look at the big game. Back from Australia, back from lockdown, is our very own Stato, who's got more than a spring in his step this weekend because of lockdown being lifted. Here's a couple of words ahead of the tune against Spurs. It's Geordie Dave.
Hello there, it's Geordie Stato Dave Huggan here from Sydney. And as you can see, I'm dressed up because we're actually out of lockdown now and we're going to the pub with friends tonight. Can you believe it? First time since June. Anyway, Newcastle versus Tottenham. And that's very exciting for all Geordies around the world after what's been happening on Tyneside recently. When I think of that fixture, I think of the great players who played for both teams, like Chris Waddle and Gaza, David Ginola, Les Ferdinand. But also a personal memory. I was there at White Hart Lane in 2003 when Jermaine Genius scored the winning goal for Newcastle with 5 minutes to go to win 1-0. So a happy memory for me. Not sure what's going to happen this time, but I hope it's a great game. Steve Bruce's 1,000th game in charge of a team in the league. Who knows what will happen? Tottenham have traditionally won this one recently, but who knows? The atmosphere will be electric on Sunday. Anyway, back to Pete.
There he is, fresh out of lockdown, new haircut, new shirt on, off to the boozer. Good luck to him. Arguably the game of the weekend, Kev. We know it's going to be bouncing, isn't it? We were just talking about that before we came on air. How do you look at it now when you think that basically Bruce is going to get his 1,000th game in charge? It's a free hit for him, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a fair one as well. It's testimony. We know what's going to happen. Let's be honest.
Yep.
We know he's probably going to be relieved of his job. And there you go. Dom's just dived out again, and he's there. Couldn't be a dive. He's dived out.
He's had a red card.
Pete, honestly, I truthfully think that what's happened to Newcastle now, we're going to start to see. It's not going to transition straight away, but now there's pressure on the players to perform, because who's going to be there during this regime? Now they have to perform. And it's going to be a tough one, because I believe there's some turmoil in the Spurs camp with COVID and etc. So it's always a difficult one.
Sure.
So it is a free hit for Newcastle, and boy, I'd love them to get a result, Pete.
So would Amanda. Nice to have you, our former guest. She says, hello all, hope the Geordies score 8 against that lot. No guessing who Amanda's team is, by the way. We'll move on to them in a bit. George, your beloved Spurs, you've already started the process. He's been on WhatsApping me a couple of days ago saying, I'm not looking forward to this one. It's going to be a great game, because it always is, but what an atmosphere.
It's going to be a great atmosphere. It will be a good game, I think. Unfortunately, my sources tell me that probably our most dangerous current player's son is out with COVID.
Okay.
Spurs, it's a massive loss. But I think Spurs will do well. We traditionally do well at St James's Park.
Yep.
But I think Newcastle will have a spring in their step, given the recent developments. And to Kevin's point, everybody's going to be fighting for their place more than ever now, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a very interesting game. It's going to be very tight, I think, very close game.
It will be. Dom, from a neutral's perspective, are you looking forward to seeing Newcastle against Spurs? Got no sound.
He's dived that. You see what I mean? You see? This is what happens when you. This is what happens when you tell like, oi.
He shouldn't be. Yeah. He should. No.
Donny back?
No.
Can't hear you.
Can't hear you, Don.
I'm sure he'll sort that out. But yeah, I mean, George, you're right. You're saying that it's going to be a bit of a, all the players will be up for it. I mean, they're playing for their future.
Yeah,
it's not just Steve Bruce. Bruce. He said in the press conference yesterday that he's still in charge. He's still there. But these players, they are definitely playing for their future, aren't they?
I think before the players, the Geordie fans are. You can't find better fans than Geordies, right? So they normally create a great atmosphere. Today, because of the recent developments, the atmosphere will be rocking, right? So I think that will help the players even more. It'll be a great spectacle. It'll be a great spectacle. Very difficult to enjoy if you're a Newcastle or a Spurs fan, but
Well, you know what, George and I we're adult enough that we will continue to WhatsApp during the game. We'll enjoy the game as we always do, and shake hands before and after virtually.
Absolutely.
I would imagine. Dom, are you back?
I've got to say, I agree with Amanda. PG, I want 8.
Pete, listen.
I know.
Pete, listen, Arsenal fans, man. Look, they're so happy they beat us in the London Derby. They go this, do that. We've had a terrible season, and we're still 2 points ahead of them.
Hold on a minute, George. You haven't had a terrible season. You'd won the league after 3 games. Let's have it right.
Not me, pal. Not me, pal.
You know.
Not me, pal.
I'm generalising.
Yeah,
a lot of the Spurs fans were cock-a-hoops.
Has anyone got the number of Tyson Fury's umpire from last weekend? Because we're going to need him in here, I think. Dom, are you back with us? No sound.
Maybe go out and come back in. Yeah.
Shame, because he's in great form as well as Dom.
Ask him, Pete. He'd come back in. Hopefully it will click in.
Okay, listen, we got lots of messages coming in, and Steve Coleman's back. He said he arrived at Wickham Jewellers, and my name flashed up on the screen. I've probably got a bill outstanding there, Steve. Just don't bother with it. Great stuff. So, lots of other games to look at this weekend, Kev, and obviously we'll get to them in our predictions. But big weekends. I was watching with interest Ole Solskjaer yesterday. Great press conference, and I was saying to Dom before we went on air that he comes over very well. He's very, very well spoken and very honest in what he says in his press conferences.
He is. He's a Man United man, isn't he? He's very good in the press conferences. But you know what? There's a lot of pressure on Ollie now because they've backed him. He's got a full squad. He's got an unbelievable squad. He's got to win something now, Pete. So it's all very well being nice in press conferences. The key is what you do on the pitch. And after the last result, obviously, was the Everton draw at home. They need to do better.
Yeah.
A lot of people have said as well that this is a defining season for him. He had last season to look at. They, as I said, he's got a decent record. I mean, he finished higher than previous Manchester United managers do. But it's time to deliver, as many media say, and Man United fans.
Yeah, listen, you have to recognise that Man United are one of the biggest names in the game. Solskjaer keeps buying big players. Bought Varane, bought Ronaldo. Kevin is spot on. The pressure is on, and Ole knows he has to deliver.
Yeah.
What does that mean? A top 4 finish is not even good enough now. He has to win something, whether it be a European competition, whether it be the Premier League title, maybe even the FA Cup. He has to deliver. The pressure's on. I think if he doesn't deliver this year, and it's not close to being delivered, then I think the summer will be interesting for him.
Okay, we're going to go back to Dom. Have you managed? Are we with you on sound?
I hope so. Can you hear me?
Yes, we are. We can.
You can.
Got you.
Okay.
Yeah, we got you.
Okay.
I was just saying to you.
I don't know how.
Just jumping back to Newcastle against Spurs, mate. As an interested onlooker, it's a great game for the neutral, isn't it?
It is, and I have got a bit of. What's the word for Steve Bruce? I feel sorry for him a little bit. He's been hung out to dry a little bit as well, but he's very experienced. He'll get this 1000th game in the bag, and then hopefully they can pick up some results because they're a huge club. We all know that. We all want to see Newcastle doing well, because they're one of the great clubs, and it's always a good day out at Newcastle as well as a fan as well. It's a brilliant atmosphere. But I think it's about time now that I think we got some quality players into Newcastle. I think the squad depth isn't good enough for them to go and win something. They need some real quality players. I think in my opinion, they've only got maybe 2 or 3 players that are probably good enough.
Right.
And that's just my opinion. I think if you look throughout the squad, there's not a lot of big names within that squad. They need to bring some players in who can add quality, and then the improvement of the rest of the players might pick up as well.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I mean, you're looking at it sort of mirrors, Kev, what you said in the past, that without those 3 players, and we know who we're talking about there, he hasn't really had an opportunity, Brucey, because his 3 best players were missing for large chunks of last season, and again at the start of this season, Callum Wilson, who he spent more time on the treatment table than he has on the pitch.
Yeah, it really is a difficult one, Pete. The fact of the matter is, you look at some of the other teams, they rely on the squad to get them through. Newcastle don't have that luxury. When you don't have those 3, maybe 4 players in there who can make a difference. I had Willock to that, who made a difference at the back end of last season.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't have those players at Newcastle, the supporting cast is not good enough. Dom's right. So what needs to happen, Pete? I truthfully believe Newcastle are going to have to turn over probably 16 to 18 new players over the next 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, interesting. Dom, I want to stay with you. Harking back to Liverpool, I would imagine. We're going to talk a little bit more about Dubai later. It's a city that you know quite well. recently I had a night out with Razor Ruddock, which will go down in legendary history. He's disappeared again.
He's died.
He's back.
Anybody who hears Razor Ruddock's name is entitled to go away. Jesus.
Yeah, I think that's probably why. Dom, have you got a Razor Ruddock story for us that you can repeat on our family-friendly show?
Ooh. Being honest, probably not. That's the truth. Me and Razor, basically, when we were both playing for Liverpool, what we used to do was, if we got a result, we'd be straight on the plane, we'd fly to Dublin. We both loved our Guinness. Straight there, no problem, no messing about. So we'd get there Saturday night, get a few down, we'd have a bit of a night out somewhere. We'd have somewhere boxed off, and then we'd probably end up staying Sunday as well. And we used to call it the red eye flight back home on a Monday morning. And, absolutely, still hanging. But obviously, I was quite good at recovering the next day. Razor was a nightmare. Can you imagine? Honestly, he just couldn't wake up.
I can't.
But no, he's a real character. He's a real character.
Go on. Yeah, he is. He's a great guy.
Sorry.
Go on, Dom. No, go on.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. The thing is, with me and Razor, we used to just go away together all the time. And just, I think I was young. Obviously, Razor was probably married at that point. But I was obviously, I think everyone at Liverpool.
He's having a nightmare today with his. Yep. Okay, Kev,
Sorry,
up to you. No. We've got you back. Kev, we're going to come up to you.
I'm going to try and change my earpiece.
Okay, no problem. Kev, we're going to come up to you. It's a big weekend for Patrick Vieira as well, by the way. We've remarked how well he's doing. He's put a stamp on Crystal Palace. Mm-hmm. They're going back to the Arsenal. It's going to be a tricky fixture for both sides, isn't it?
Monday Night Football, it's going to be a tough game. Crystal Palace Patrick Vieira has put some impetus into them. Loads of new players, obviously. But he's got them playing with a spirit that is surprising a few teams. Let's be honest. We all know who the danger man is. It's Zaha. But he's got a supporting cast, I think, now. I think Gallagher in midfield has been great. Edouard up the top end of the pitch is very good. And there's a young lad who they've got coming off the bench, Elise, who's I think he's a really good player as well. Yeah. Obviously, there's some usual suspects in and around the midfield and at the back, Ward, etc. Mihailovic. These guys are solid Premier League players. And they could, if you let them, they can cause you major problems. And obviously, Vieira's a Arsenal legend coming back. Mikel Arteta, he's got his boys back now in the club, and it's what type of Arsenal are we going to see? We know the consistency is a problem at Arsenal, so it's going to be a really, really tough game.
Vieira's brought back that his sort of attitude as well. That the Palace, yes, they look good going forward, but they're tough to beat, and he's getting them organised at the back.
It's still early days, but Patrick Vieira looks like he's doing a fantastic job. It's a very different Palace team. They have more self-belief. You can see that. There's more cohesion. Defensively, they're much better, but they're also a great danger going forward. I think he's doing a great job. I think it will be a very tight match. But yeah, hats off to Patrick Vieira. You can see, they were so unlucky not to get 3 points against Brighton, right? They conceded in the 94th minute. And you could argue that they should have won that game, and they were bitterly disappointed. It wasn't that long ago. If you get a 1-1 draw at home, in a derby with Brighton, both teams are fairly happy. You could see that Palace were devastated. I think that's an indication of what Patrick Vieira has brought to Palace. It'll be a close game.
Hey George, don't forget. Look at the Leicester game. 2-0 down.
Yeah, I know.
In the end, they should have won it. In the end,
I know.
Powers of recovery, brilliant.
Yeah. And there is no doubt he has brought self-belief That's the biggest difference I see in Palace this season. I'm not saying they didn't have it so much last season, but this season they walk onto the pitch expecting to win. You can see it in their psyche. When they were 2-0 down to Leicester, not only did they not give up, they upped their game, right? I saw the game, and they got one back, and their tails were out. And as you say, Kev, they should have won that game.
Yeah.
This is Leicester. It's not an average team, right? So, good for him. Good for Patrick Vieira.
Dom, we talked about Newcastle, but another team struggling down at the bottom is your old team, Leeds. There's been a bit of a difference. They were everyone's second favourite team last year, but they've struggled to get going, haven't they?
Can you hear me here now?
Yep.
Cool, that's good. I think they've obviously, after last season, they were so good. The performances were so high, the levels were high. They were doing everything right, and then all of a sudden, they start a new season with the fans back in. It became more difficult, and I think the players didn't adapt quick enough in the early part of the season. But now it seems like they're all at it again. I've spoke to a few of the lads myself personally. I've interviewed a few of the boys. They seem in really good spirits, and I just think they will get better as the season goes on. They're a good side. Obviously, Marcelo Bielsa is a very clever manager, and it's crazy when you hear fans talking already about, if Bielsa was to go, who's coming in. I'm like, you ain't gonna get any better than Bielsa at this point. There's no two ways about it. This guy is his best, the best I've seen at Leeds for a long, long time. Even going back to my days with David O'Leary, this guy is a bright, clever manager, and we need to keep hold of him. If Leeds want to do well and stay in the Premier League, Bielsa is a huge part of that. And, people say that he pushes the players too hard. But what is too hard? I think all the players train hard, and you need to nowadays. And Bielsa demands that. And I think that all the Leeds players have taken that on board. But they all say it is tough. But they will all get the rewards further down the line. I think the consistency will get better with Leeds.
Yeah, I think we can see them putting a run together and moving away. Kev, back up to you. I wanted to touch on a team that we've covered a few times on Hollywood Balls, you and I, together. It's good old Forest Green. They've got more away points than any team in the Football League. They sit proudly on top at the moment. And their next big thing that's happening is they're going to be the first team to travel to games on a zero-emission electric coach. Vegan pies, anyone? Kev?
Yeah, I don't mind. I'll eat a little bit of vegan. I don't mind that. That's cool.
But what a team! What they're doing.
Listen, what they're doing and what they're standing for. Remember, they've come from nowhere, basically.
Yep.
Forest Green, they've come from nowhere. They're doing things a certain way in their own way, and it's paying off for them. So you've got to give them credit. A zero emissions bus, even better. No microwave on it, I'm sure. Or it'll be an oven. It'll be an electric oven or something like that. Listen, fantastic what they're doing. Keep the results going, boys, and I'm sure it's a long season, but I think they might be in the mix-up come the end.
Yeah,
I hope so. George, I was looking at them, and they had this brilliant. They were playing at Carlisle, and where they won 2-0, by the way, and it said that they wrote to Carlisle and said, look, that we sort of don't want to contest, but we don't wear shirt and ties in a director's box. Is it possible to, just to let us wear what we wear? And they said no. So it was a shirt and tie job at Carlisle. So for the return game, I was reading that the Carlisle directors will have to pitch up in jeans, T-shirts and trainers. Fair play to them.
Love it.
But a club heading in the right direction. Part of the strip's made of bamboo, and their dream is to have a wooden stadium. So they're doing everything right. But as Kev says, George, they're getting it right on the pitch as well.
Yeah, they are. It's not the fact they're just getting it right on the pitch. They have a swagger about them, in so much that they're doing it in a very unique way, and they believe in it. Right. Yep. So fair play to them. Forest Green, small club. They don't have huge history in the top 4 leagues, right? Do they? So, but now they're a major force, and who knows how far they can go.
Hopefully, to promotion, maybe the title.
Yeah.
Dom, speaking of great teams, I was looking back when you were at Leeds, and I sort of remember as a fan, we were talking off air about going to Elland Road, and it was such an atmosphere. But what a time to be there for that Champions League run! It must have been incredible.
Yeah, we had a great spirit throughout that squad. Some great characters, some great leaders. Just thinking back, we had people like Gary Kelly around the squad. If anyone knows people like Gary Kelly, just a character. One played for Leeds, the only team he played for. Loved his club. Still comes to Elland Road now, and you still see him. But yeah, going back to that team, I mean, Smithy and Viduka up front. If you think about the rest of the players, we had Robbie Keane couldn't get a game at times, and he had some real quality when we got him from Inter Milan. So the squad depth we had was decent. To get to a semi-final, probably being honest, wow. I didn't think we'd get there, but we did. The only disappointing is Smithy got sent off at Valencia. I think that was the tough one because we were 1-0 down at that point. It was probably an own goal as well. They got an own goal, and that put Spanner in the works big time because at that point, Valencia, Deportivo, the kind of clubs were playing on Spanish clubs. They were as good as it got. They were two of the best teams in world football, in my opinion, or European football at that point. So the great thing for me, we got an opportunity to play against all the best clubs, and it was kind of like for the fans, the Leeds fans I speak to about that era, it's probably their favourite, apart from when they were winning things back in the 70s, and when they won the league, obviously under Wilco. That was the last kind of bit of success they had. So for us to do a little bit as well, obviously not winning it was obviously disappointing, but that journey with the fans, I mean, it was incredible. We were singing all night with the fans and ended up on Lake Como, a couple of extra pints and a couple of glasses of red. I know I'm always talking about the drinking. Well, that was part of it back then. It was part of it. If you win you get the game, you get the result. Go and enjoy your night. That's what Spirit started. I know it's a different situation now, but I loved it, mate. I absolutely loved it. And I think when you've got players like Big Mark Viduka, who never gets a mention in the football world now. Big Viduka was one of the best players around. Yeah. And he got talked about his weight being too much. He wasn't a big guy. He was just solid, and he got them 4 goals against Liverpool. I mean, that was unbelievable. Top players. Yeah, exactly. Kev will know himself. A big target man like that, but he had so much. His feet were unbelievable, like a ballerina on his feet. But but he was a big old unit as well. But he could play as well. And Big Viduka, I speak to him quite a lot. And that kind of era, the players that we played with were top drawn. Smithy, Alan Smith, obviously Leeds fans don't like him too much now because he went to United. But he was absolutely terrorising people. He gave Maldini one of the hardest games I've ever seen at Elland Road. Smithy absolutely kicked him up and down. Him and Costa Curta didn't know what had hit them. We're talking top players here. Smithy just booted him constantly. And I remember David O'Leary's team talk before the game. He was talking about Maldini, Costa Curta, you name it. They were all playing for the AC Milan team. Shevchenko, they're all in the squad. David said something along the lines to us, listen, they're all great players, but they can't run. And we were like, right, okay. And I tell you what, Maldini is one of the fastest players you'll ever play against.
But it's psychological, isn't it?
Yeah, psychological. But we all got on board. And actually, if I go back to that game, we won 1-0. It was absolutely lashing it down at Elland Road. It was a brilliant, one of the best atmospheres I've ever had. That was my debut for Leeds as well. So not a bad debut, to be honest. AC Milan at home for Leeds. That was it was a special time for the club.
Brilliant, not too shabby, as they say, for a debut. Okay, so listen, guys, as you know, Manscaped are partnering with us today. You can get 20% off with the code HollywoodBalls. Always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. 20% off HollywoodBalls, manscaped.com. Get involved on there. Dom, I did want to come back to you because I wanted to touch on arguably your greatest achievement in my eyes. The setting up of the Ahead of the Game Foundation, following your heroic battle, which is ongoing, by the way. Tell us a little bit about what's behind it.
Well, there's obviously had to be a Scouser involved. My mate Dave Bolton. He's 2% of the world's population, Dave, who's survived glioblastoma, which is the hardest form of cancer. He's an inspiration to me every time I speak to him. I'll be speaking to him today. So we decided to get together because obviously I'm living with a brain tumour, brain cancer, whatever you want to call it. it's tough. It's a really hard thing to live with. It's a constant battle. One I'm up for, and I hope at some point I'll get further down the line like everyone else wishes for in this position. But so what we're doing with the head of the game is we're trying to just raise awareness. We've already taken a couple of people on board already, so we've got a couple of people signed up. Dave's obviously himself, and we've got a lady who comes in, and we kind of rehab people who've had cancer or living with cancer, and we're also rehabbing people with COVID and long COVID. And at the moment, there's only Dave and this lady doing it. I chip in with what I can talk about as well, and I think it's about talking. We always talk about that in any form of life, but we talk a lot, and we're just trying to give people really good, solid advice. And that's the main thing for me is there is a way out. We all got told bad news. My mate, myself, and sometimes they tell you the stats, you ain't going to live for this long and all that. I don't believe all that, mate. I'm on my own path at the minute with Dave and with the rest of the charities we're trying to do. You've got to make your own way in life, in whatever you do. And with me at the moment, mine's about my mindset. My mindset is so strong at the minute, and I lived quite a chaotic life, as a lot of footballers did, and now I've realised what is really important to me, which is my family, my kids, my wife, my friends, all the people who really helped me out when I was in them dark days. And now I want to help other people, and that's what Ahead of the Game is all about. And we are ahead of the game. We want to get into different places. We want to be doing talks in places like Dubai and talking about what we're trying to do and trying to raise awareness for people who are living with what I'm living with. And I tell you what, there is a way. And I keep saying that because there is. Keep believing in what you're doing, whether it's meditation, yoga, your diet. It's a bit of a balance of it all. I mean, I never thought I'd be trying yoga or meditation. It's just not me. But I tell you what, when it's talking about your life at stake, you'll do anything. You'll try anything. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to do, is bring the positivity to anyone who's out there suffering. There is a way, and you can contact us at Ahead of the Game, and we'll speak to you, and we'll try and help. And obviously we can't speak and help everyone, but we'll help as many as we can. And I think that's the biggest gift that anyone can give anyone.
Absolutely fantastic. Brilliant stuff.
Absolutely
top man.
Brilliant. Absolutely.
Great stuff. Great stuff,
the
Dom.
positivity angle. Because
Exactly.
I'm sure, Dom, there's a lot of people who get told the bad news and then they go down, don't they?
It's true,
It's difficult to fight bad news sometimes.
Yeah.
So brilliant what you're doing,
my
mate.
My wife had a panic attack in the hospital when we got the news, given that, my scenario wasn't too great. Yeah. I was actually fine around it. It's funny because, the wife, if she wasn't here, I wouldn't be here. She saved my life. She really is. And we don't ever talk about the people the effects. It affects everyone. And it's a roll-on effect. And the thing is, for me, I've been very lucky in the football community that people have come and talk. I got a message off Kenny Dalglish, all the Liverpool players, a lot of the Leeds players. They all sent me messages, and I'll keep them forever. And Kenny Dalglish, for example, we're talking about Kenny, the legend. Kenny kind of said, "Listen, you think you've got problems?" This is what he said to me. He said, "You think you've got problems? Think about your wife and the kids. They've got the problems. So don't think about yourself." And it's just typical Kenny. And he's absolutely so right. And, you have to be selfish to get through this, but you also have to think about what's around the people around you, my kids and stuff.
Yeah. Good man. There's nothing like positivity. I will tell you. Look, we all know people, I know some who didn't survive. I know some that did survive, very close to them. And it's just like you, Dom, positive state of mind, that goes a long, long way. And of course we have, the longer we're more positive, the more technology evolves. There was a news story, I'm sure you read it, Don, just last week, published on the BBC, with this new immunotherapy, how it really beat brain and head cancers in many patients. So, fair play to you.
I'm lucky as well because I'm involved with the Leeds Hospital, teaching hospital. So
great.
I'm an ambassador for the hospital now as well, which, I was really proud to be that and to have that. I mean, at the end of the day, I got to meet the guy who saved my life, who did the surgery on me. Wow. Imagine operating on someone for, I think he said 16 or 17 hours he operated on my head for. You can't really see it, but, 67 staples through my head. It's part of me now, and you have to just own it. I own everything now.
Great.
I'm not scared to talk.
Great job.
I want to help people. That's the thing about Ahead of the Game. It's about helping others.
Fantastic, mate.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Speaking of positivity, it brings us into our DK Hot Sauce Challenge, which is the Premier League predictions for this weekend. Dom, you're going to need all your positivity for this, I can tell you. Kev's got his hand up.
Kev's going down.
Baller of the week first, isn't it? Baller of the week.
I'm going to save that for after this one.
Okay, let's go. Let's go then, Pete. Come on.
All right.
Okay, we've had so many entries. Again, thanks to DK Sauce, Danny Kwang, and his brilliant sauces. It's helped spread the word of Hollywood Balls, and we hope we're doing likewise. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 6 people in today, which is brilliant, and we've got Jace Edwards, Lee Cosgrove, Danny Kwang, Dan Chadwick making his debut, Samantha Shepherd, and of course Darren DeSendry. So we've got a good mix of people in there today, and we're going to start with guests first as always. Dom, prediction for Watford against Liverpool, please.
I'm not too pleased with Watford. I've watched, obviously Leeds played them recently, and they weren't great. I'm going to go Liverpool 3 or 4-0.
3 or 4, go on. Give us 3 or 4.
I'll go 4-0.
4. Okay, George.
Watford 0, Liverpool 3.
Okay, that's a popular one, judging by our scoreboard. Looking at it, Super Kev.
Yeah, I've got 3-0 myself.
Okay, me too. I have. I've gone 3-0 to Liverpool, as has Jace Edwards. Lee Cosgrove, Man United fan, so obviously Watford are getting the result. Watford 2-2 to Lee. Danny Kwang says 3-1 to Liverpool. Dan Chadwick says 2-0 to Liverpool. So does Samantha. And Darren DeSendry says 3-1 to Liverpool. Okay, back down to Dom. Great game in store. Leicester Man United.
Leicester Man United. I'm going to go 2-2. Desmond,
brilliant. I've heard that for ages. First heard that from Paul Merson, by the way, many moons ago. Okay, George, what you got for us?
I've got 1-1.
Okay, Super Kev?
2-1 Man United.
2-1. Okay, I'm the same as George. I've got 1-1 today. Jace has gone 2-1 Man United. So has Lee Cosgrove. Danny Kwang's gone 2s each. Dan Chadwick's gone 2-1 to Man United. Samantha's taken a 2-2 draw. And Darren has taken Leicester to win 2-1. Nothing to do with the fact that he's a Liverpool fan. Okay, moving on. Again, a massive game. And I don't think the visitors today will fancy it. Dom, Brentford-Chelsea.
Yeah, good game actually. Been really, really impressed with them this year as well. Brentford done really well. I think that might be a draw as well. I'm going to go 1-1.
Okay, George?
This was the hardest one to try and predict, in my opinion.
Right.
I've ended that with a 1-1 draw.
Okay, I think we must have been sharing our predictions this weekend, George. We've
Have
gone
you
like
gone
for
1-1
like.
as well?
I have, yeah. Kev?
I've gone away win. It's a big derby as well, West London derby. Chelsea need to win. I've gone 2-1 Chelsea, by the way.
Okay, so's Jace Edwards. Lee Cosgrove's gone 2-2. Danny Kwang's gone the same. Dan Chadwick's gone 3-0 to Chelsea. Samantha's gone 3-1 to Chelsea. And Darren's gone 2-0 to Chelsea. Okay, we've got a great game in store between two of the elder statesmen of the game. Everton, West Ham, Dom.
Oh, got to go West Ham, haven't I?
Why, Dom? Why?
Brilliant.
Because obviously Moisey going back at his old club, he'll want to do well.
Yeah.
I think, to be honest, I think these are two well-balanced clubs at the moment. I think they're both doing so well. But I'm going to go, why not? I'm going to go West Ham 2-1.
Okay, George.
I've gone exactly the same, Don. 2-1 to West Ham.
Okay, I've gone 1-1, Kev.
I've gone 2-1 Everton.
So was Jace Edwards. So was Jace. Lee Cosgrove's gone 2-1 West Ham. Danny Kwang's gone 2s apiece. Dan Chadwick's gone 1 each. Samantha Shepherd's gone 2-1 West Ham. And Darren DeSendry's gone 2s apiece. Game of the weekend. No pressure, Dom. Sunday, Super Sunday, NUFC, the Toon Army against Spurs.
I'm probably going to just edge for Spurs. Sorry.
You find that mute button again.
Yeah, I'm going to go Spurs 3-1.
Okay. George?
Um, I've gone for a 1-1 draw. Sun's out.
Okay.
I've gone 1-1 draw.
I hope the sun is out on Sunday. I tell you, Kev, what you got for us?
I've gone for a 2-2.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've gone for Newcastle to win 2-0, just on a blanket of emotion. Jace has gone 1-1. Lee Cosgrove's taken Spurs to win 3-1. Danny Kwang's gone 2s each. Dan Chadwick's gone 1s each. And Samantha Shepherd's taken Spurs to win 1-0, as has Darren with a 2-1 win for Spurs. Okay, we'll keep you posted on that. Fastly running out of time. It's been a great show. Baller of the week, Kev, your hero on or off the pitch of football.
It's got to be one man. It's Cristiano Ronaldo. Another hat-trick, 10th hat-trick. He writes his own scripts, that guy. It's got to be him for me.
Okay, great stuff. George, have you got a baller of the week for us?
I do. It may surprise you. I'm so happy for Scotland. They beat Israel. They beat Faroe Islands at the death. Yeah. I watched the Israel-Scotland game. I lost 20 kilos. I was up and down like a yo-yo. What a great game. I'm going to give it to Lyndon Dykes. Okay. Scotland's biggest problem is scoring goals. He's got 4 on the bounce. Giving it to Lyndon Dykes.
Brilliant. Dom, have you got one for us, or is it?
But obviously, he played for Brazil. Rafinha, absolutely outstanding talent. He changed the game. He's a brilliant player. Leeds really need to keep hold of this kid because he is that good. I mean, I've watched him close up now, and he's a clever player. And we've got to keep hold of him because they've got some good players now, Leeds, and Calvin Phillips is another one. There's a few that've got to keep hold of the goalkeeper.
The big boys are circling, aren't they?
Yeah. But Rafinha is a special talent, and he's great to watch. We all know that about him, and the world's his oyster. Honestly, he can play anywhere.
Brilliant. He does look such a good player, and again, see them in the Leeds top. It was the first time I saw him playing for his country. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Tom, we are going to give you the last word because I believe, I know you're no stranger to Dubai, and hopefully we're going to be seeing you again in our city real soon.
Yeah, been offered a couple of gigs in the great place of Dubai. So who am I to turn it down? A little holiday, Christmas. Yeah, so that's when I'm going to be back over. I love my time in Dubai. I've always had great memories of it, and to get back in for a little cheeky week away because we're moving house as well. So the wife said things are all over the place. Let's have a little week in Dubai.
Why not?
Yeah, she's helped me, so I'm going to help her. Let's do it.
We'll roll the red carpet out, but you say that Christmas period, and I have to tell the boys, there's a certain game on the 26th of December, and it's only, as luck would have it, Liverpool against Leeds.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, that's what for me was sealed the deal. That for me, perfectly, to be honest. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm just trying to think of who. Me and Robbie Fowler are actually doing it. Me and Robbie Fowler, there's a little insight to it. Me and Robbie are doing it, and somebody's hosting it. It's going to be a great evening.
Great stuff. Fantastic and brilliant having you as a guest. We hope to see you again later in the season and, of course, at Christmas time. Kev, brilliant as always. Have you got a busy week ahead?
Always busy. I am actually pitch side. I'm doing pitch side for the Everton West Ham game tomorrow. And I've got a game to do online today, and the week is looking busier. So I'm good.
Good stuff, George. Apart from hiding behind the settee on Super Sunday, what's your plans?
Busy. I've got a lot of kid stuff. Got a lot of work. All good. Busy as always. Keeps me young.
Of course it does. Okay, listen, that's it for another Soccer Saturday. Absolutely tremendous, brilliant. Thanks, as always, to all of our guests and to you for watching. We'll see you next week. Soccer Saturday. Me, Geordie Pete, Hollywood Balls.